Hello everybody, I am Antonio Cardoni, an architect and a perfumer from Italy. First of all, I would like to send my greetings and thank Mr. Tomonobu and all the Japanese friends for this opportunity. And I started the bogue profumo project around 10 years ago. In the first couple of years, mainly experimenting with distillation and maceration without really thinking about a perfume brand structured as we know it today, but mainly out of curiosity about the magic world of odors. The main materials of my early experiments were actually the pruning of some of my bonsai collection, and I really enjoyed, with the leftovers of some plants to try to see what I could get out of them. After that, things got more serious, and I started working properly in creating something more suitable for the world of perfumery. I'm at the moment in my lab, in a specific room that is called the bogue fumoir, a room I designed and created a few years ago to welcome my clients and friends, especially for bespoke projects. A field I've been doing along all these years, and I always enjoy a lot. A long process of discovering and experimenting in order to create something unique for a private client. As you will probably notice, I collected a lot of things from my travels and passions in this room. You will notice some Japanese and Oriental items coming from the time I spent in Japan and China. And another connection with Japan is that I used to practice kendo. I did it for something like 7-8 years until a few years ago when I broke my left knee and I had to stop. I hope you will enjoy this little journey in the bogue profumo world. The first perfume I would like to introduce to your attention is MAAI. Some of you will probably notice it's a Japanese word, and it's a Japanese word that for me was very important in the kendo practicing. It's a perfume born in 2014 after almost a 2-year work on the formula. It's a perfume that it's a sort of a classic sipper with a very bold animalic and other very bold and almost extreme takes on some ingredients. I tend to use a lot of organic natural ingredients in my perfumes, and in this case there is this green moss soul with opulent flowers like roses, jasmine, ylang-ylang, and especially tuberose, a tuberose absolute that I've been searching for a long time before finding the right balance between the flower aspect of this flower and the green leafy aspect. It has a heart made of balsamic resins and a subtle shade of smoke. It has a very rich amber leather sides as well that takes it to a smooth velvety feeling. And it's well, it's considered a very sophisticated, complex perfume, almost a classic from Bogue Profumo, with its with some other ingredients like the musk, oak moss, and sandalwood. Usually, I don't like that much to list notes or make up stories about perfumes. I generally prefer to think about them in their structure, in the way I tried to compose them, and I'm usually very interested in playing with layers of different materials and exploiting their facets and trying to make a perfume not a single journey from a beginning to an end, but a much more complex journey where things overlap, happen again, disappear, reappear, change, and vary as much as possible, in order not only to entertain us, but to make us aware of the fact that we're wearing something, and hopefully something special. The second perfume I would like to talk about is OE, a perfume from 2015. A perfume that it was a very difficult formula for me to play with, because I really tried to play on the structure and balancing elements in order to almost create a perfume paradox. It has a very bright, shining soul. It has a bright opening made with a lot of citruses like Italian bergamot, lemon, petitgrain, grapefruit, and neroli. And then it has all these green spices like rosemary, thyme, again, a very clear reference probably to a Mediterranean world landscape. And all this is combined with some florals made of rose and jasmine, and some smoky animalic notes, plus a great amount of some materials I'm very fond of, like resins, mainly benzoin, but sandalwood, and generally woods like juniper, pine, cedar wood, and a warm part of tobacco. Again, it's not for me only a list of notes or a good story, the one I can say about OE. OE, it's the evolution of the very first perfume I created and never been available on the market. It was called ED. It's really a great challenge, well, at least it was for me a great challenge of deconstructing, reconstructing the formula parts in order to create something quite unique. MAAI is a perfume that was born in 2017, and it's probably a very radical approach to a classic perfumery ingredient that is lavender. I really tried to challenge the classic perception we have of lavender, and using a lot of natural materials, especially 4 or 5 types of different lavenders in all their different parts, the flower, the leaves, the roots. And the lavender notes are melting with some clay notes, wood and minerals, with a shade of burned sugar and toasted malt almost. It's a dark lavender, but at the same time it's a lavender full of sunshine. The combination of the materials create a very strange dried fruit accord, that it's not in there really. It's what I usually call a phantom accord. And it's a perfume that its peculiarity, it's really the fact that it shifts a lot during the wearing. It shows many different aspects and many different facets of its entire nature. It's very rich with florals in the heart, with jasmine, ylang ylang and rose, but at the same time it has a masculine side made with Himalayan cedar wood, that it has a natural smokiness, and incense and musk. It dries down almost in a barbershop fougere, if you want. But it's not only that, it's filled with geranium, benzoin, and it's really, you know, someone wrote it one day, it's like a roller coaster journey. You know, it really changes a lot during the wearing, and it's surprising the person that wears them a lot, making them aware of what they're experiencing all the time. DOULEUR is my latest project, released in 2019, and it's a work that comes from a collaboration with a great tattoo artist based in UK, Freddie Albrighton, bondage master as well. And its conceptual idea really comes from this idea of playing with pleasure and pain. It's all around a very specific idea of a rose, and a very unusual rose, a very metallic rose, almost made of steel, where the thorns are dripping blood. It's very bright, sometimes almost very sweet, together with its metallic aspect, and strangely enough aquatic as well. So it has a very extreme approach on the rose that starts with a combination of mint and cotton candy and caramel, almost childish, sweet, comforting elements, combined with this unusual, almost disturbing idea of a metallic rose. It has a provocative twist in it that comes out with the notes of seaweed combined with melon and benzoin. It's very unique. It's an unforgettable ride, if you want. And yes, it has all the bogue profumo structure with a very contemporary, almost futuristic idea of possible metallic flowers in it. And thank you again for